Welcome to Grab Coffee with Me, sponsored by Dowden Golf Solutions. We have a very special guest. I guess all of our guests are special, but a very special guest for this episode, our second episode. Very surprised that he's here. But we have the president and CEO of Habitat for Humanity Tampa Bay Golf Side. So I'm going to run down a few of your responsibilities and the things that you're doing in the community. And you could add more. I feel like there's some things missing. But of course, I have to say you're a USF graduate.
Yeah,
Because they
go
won their
Bulls.
first two games. You play Miami next, so we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
But you're also on the CEO Council of Tampa Bay. You're on that board, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
The board of Amplify Clearwater, correct? Right? And the board of Titan 100 Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
And we are both Copperheads, which is the organization that runs the Valspar tournament. Am I missing anything else? Because it feels like you're very busy. You do.
You know, I'm extremely busy, but I'm very fortunate that, we live in a community that's so amazing. So the opportunity to get involved and give back is really important to me.
So what else is important is a coffee order, right? What is your
order.
coffee order? And I know you're not a coffee guy, you're a tea guy, but my coffee order today, and I'm currently at Cafe 1920 in Ybor. The spot has been open up for 2 weeks. I suggest everyone comes out. Look at that chicken behind me.
I love that.
It rivals Phoebe at the Tampa International Airport. Just not as big, but it rivals. And if you know about the Tampa Bay area, there's a lot of chickens out here. So that's only fitting. So I have a pumpkin cream chai latte.
Okay.
Very different from me. I'm more of a caramel guy. The staff recommended this, and this is amazing. So what do you have, Mike?
Is it a cold drink?
It's a nice latte.
Oh, nice. I am drinking a very simple. I got my Copperhead cup, by the way, that it's sitting in.
Shout out to Copperheads.
Yeah, there you go. I'm actually drinking a green tea. So I brewed a green tea, put it on ice, and then I threw in some honey. So my throat's a little sore after last night. We had a big event at Habitat, and so I thought some honey would do me good. But yeah, I'm not a coffee guy, but I do love tea. So cheers.
Nothing wrong with that. Cheers. Let me bring back my my drink. Now, you mentioned that big event. I was there.
Yeah.
My wife attended as well.
I know.
I'm very happy that she came. She doesn't get out much. Tell us about that event.
Yeah, we so at Habitat, we're celebrating 40 years this year. And so we wanted to do something that was accessible to the entire community. So we put on an event at Ruth Eckerd Hall. Raised some sponsorships so that we could make the event free to attend. And we had about 1,000 people in attendance. We were able to take everyone down kind of a little, memory lane walk of the organization that started in 1985. And then to close things out, we partnered with our friends at HGTV, Mika and Brian with 100-Day Dream Home, and we filmed an episode earlier this year with them that will actually air on HGTV on September 30th. And so we were able to preview that last night with the crowd, and it was a fun night, great turnout. Just, again, just an amazing community we live in that continues to just wrap their arms around Habitat. So
yeah, I sat like in a fourth or fifth row.
Okay.
Looking at the stage.
Yeah.
And when we got in, and maybe 5 or 10 minutes later, I turned around, the place was packed. I thought it was a concert in there, so yeah. Man, you mentioned, at the end, that line that was waiting to meet Brian and Mika was very surprising as well,
but they're such great people though.
Yeah.
Who they are in person is exactly who you see on the show.
Yeah.
They're very down to earth, very engaging, and just good people.
Yeah.
So when they wanted to film an episode with us, we were like, hey, this is a good opportunity to tell the Habitat story, and also just kind of get some awareness about our brand out in the community. So, it's I don't know if I told you this, but it'll air in something like 40 different countries. And so Brian was telling me the best part about that is like hearing your voice, like the dubbed over voice.
Yeah, the dubbed over
countries. He's like, your Spanish voice and how it'll sound and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's funny. In a separate text chat, we were talking about Bruce Lee. And this is something I just loved growing up, just that dub over. It was just hilarious watching those movies. But tell us about business, your journey. How did you get to where you are now?
So I went to the University of South Florida, changed my major a couple times, never really had an idea of where I really wanted to go, but I had a desire to maybe go into federal law enforcement. Kind of glad I didn't. Actually, not kind of, I'm glad I didn't. but I started working at the YMCA when I was in college, just because I needed a part-time job and my parents were going through a divorce. So things were kind of weird. So I was like, I'm going to just get a part-time job so that, got a little bit of money coming in. And it was my first time ever being exposed to extreme poverty. And I worked at the YMCA, which is in Tampa Heights, but 25, 30 years ago in Tampa Heights, that was not an
Yeah.
area uh, that's now bustling, right? So it was my first exposure to extreme poverty. And what really kind of clicked with me were how some of the kids that would come to the Y after school, man, it was like the highlight of their day to see you because they
Hmm.
just wanted interaction with somebody that cared about them. Not that they didn't have that at home, but there were a lot of especially the young boys, they had no male role model or positive male role model in their life. And just the way they kind of, just you know, came to you, right? And so just kind of started going down that path, and I recognized real quick that I could actually build a career in the nonprofit sector. And so I've spent now about 17 years in the Habitat organization, 11 and a half in my current role.
Mhm.
I spent some time at a Habitat in Texas. I worked at Big Brothers Big Sisters for about 5 years. So I've just kind of made my career in the nonprofit sector. I feel very blessed and honored to be able to do the work that I do.
Yeah. And we see that every day. Being on your board and also part of the executive committee, reluctantly saying yes at first, but I'm glad I said yes because of, oh man, it's been an amazing experience for me as a board member, and a lot of that is seeing how genuine you are, not only with your board and your staff, but also out in the community and
Sure.
the impact that you and your staff. I've been on the board for 3 years now. I haven't seen an impact greater in our local area
Yeah.
than what I've seen with Habitat, and that's not being biased. It's
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
that I see and that I hear all the time. So, kudos to you, your staff, and the rest of the board members on that. Let's talk about the challenges and overcoming. So, whether it's in your business, in the business world, or just in the with Habitat, what challenges are you seeing, or have you seen, and how did you overcome those?
I think probably when I moved into this role, as a first time CEO 11 and a half years ago, I think the thing I underestimated the most was the people component of it.
Yeah,
I've led teams before and I came into the role, leading teams, but I always had, that boss to go to or
yeah,
I wasn't always maybe the last decision point, right? And so that was something I underestimated when I came into the role was just dealing with people on a regular basis and then being responsible for I look at it now like, we have 70 plus staff at Habitat. I'm like, I'm responsible for 70 people, and their well-being. And so like, I don't take that lightly that every decision I make or every decision I endorse at the organization could have a negative impact on somebody, right? So it sometimes is a little bit of a gut check, like, oh man, like this is pretty significant. I think at the same time, navigating the 5+ generations in the workplace right now is also a challenge, right? We do a lot of work at Habitat with like the DISC assessment and looking at personalities and how different personalities interact, and we do a lot of trainings around that. And what I find 9 times out of 10, if there's a conflict in the workplace between two employees, it's because they don't know how to communicate to each other
yeah, yeah,
and it's their personalities, right? And so when we dive a little deeper, and I'll give you an example. We just had a couple staff members at Habitat that they weren't gelling, and their positions required them to work together every day. And we pulled out their DISC assessment and literally traded them and said, "Hey, read about this person. You read about this person." And it was amazing that what they came back with was, oh wow, this is how they receive information, and I'm not providing them information that way. And so I think it was eye-opening to them, and you almost immediately saw them turn a corner. So
yeah.
so I would say biggest challenges by far are just the different aspects of people and personalities.
Now that leads me to my next question. I was going to say this towards the end, but one thing I've been very impressed with, especially in my years working in corporate America, there's always been an issue with developing talent, right? People tend to not want their talented people to leave, but an organization successful as yours, opportunities come to those who are doing a great job and they may move on. They do move on, elsewhere. But what I've seen and very surprised with is that somebody within that organization steps up. takes that role, and the ship keeps sailing. It doesn't slow down. Actually, in some cases, it improves greatly.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
How do you do that? You know, what
Yeah.
what yeah.
What's that saying? I think it's something about like the CFO, you know, tells the CEO like, well, what if we invest all this money in somebody and then they leave,
Yeah.
right? And then the CEO responds with, what if we don't invest that money and they stay, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
So we've always taken the approach at Habitat, and I'm very grateful to you and the rest of the board for giving me the autonomy to do this. But we take the approach of investing in our people, and we do a lot of that. We do a lot of trainings. We find growth opportunities for staff. I never take it personal when someone leaves the organization for a better opportunity either.
Hmm.
I think it's a reflection on the work that we did to get that person set
Exactly.
up to be able to advance their career, and maybe we don't have a spot for them to make that next jump yet, right? And so, um, but when I started with the organization 11 and a half years ago, we had 19 staff members. We have 70 plus today. That's 50 plus jobs we've created over the last 10 years. And so for people that do want to grow that come into our organization, there's opportunities as we grow. And that's kind of the message I try to share with the staff. I also think building a bench is so important. And you and I've talked about that. We've had, folks that, have moved on to better opportunities sometimes. And I know when they first, give their notice, I'll have other staff that are really concerned, like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do without them? And what is so amazing, and this doesn't mean anything negative towards those people, but our organization is better every time
Yeah.
it gives us the opportunity to look at things differently. We bring in different perspectives. And, sometimes when people are given an opportunity to rise up and take on a new role, you never know what they're going to bring to the table. And
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
times
Yeah.
it's a positive thing.
Yeah, it's been great to see. I know as a board member, when that happens, that's the first question I ask. Hey, who do we have? Hey, how's this
Yeah.
person doing? And you put us at ease. And
Yeah.
you just give us the rundown. I'm like, okay, good. Maybe I should stop asking.
Well, and I also share that with my exec team, the folks that report to me, and I say, who are you training? If you were to
Yeah,
get hit by a bus tomorrow, like who's going to step in and do your job? Because that is a reflection on somebody's legacy.
yeah,
If
yeah,
someone leaves an organization and that organization stumbles along, or someone leaves a position and that role stumbles, that means they didn't do a good job of training up
yeah.
the next in line, right? And
Very
so,
true.
we work really hard at that, and I'm working hard at making sure there's somebody that can step into my position, right? So, yeah, it's a lot.
So what trends are you currently seeing in your industry that you're excited about?
Man, there really are no trends right now. Everything
Yeah,
seems so all over the place. I will say, and unfortunately, some of the trends we are seeing have a negative impact, right? So inflation has significantly impacted us from a cost per home, so like
hmm,
building each house. Inflation's also hurt us when it comes to, salaries and benefits and all that. So we've had to figure out ways to balance all that out. And the other thing that we're seeing is the need for affordable housing is more intense than it's ever been. And so, you know, we're just trying to do our part to anchor families in the community and give them the opportunity to own their own home.
yeah, yeah. Hopefully we start seeing a trend in the right direction with that, but
Yeah.
definitely there is a need. So outside of work, outside of habitat, what motivates you? What energizes you? What keeps you going?
Well, as you know, about 15 months ago, I had a little dude come into this world, right? So Brooke and I are fairly new parents, and that's been a huge motivating factor in every decision I make now. And it really has changed perspectives for me, made me look at life a little bit differently. So that's obviously a motivating factor.
Yeah,
I'm a very competitive person. I'm very driven. And so when I look at work, it's important for me to do something work wise that I really, really enjoy doing. And that's, really what motivates me and keeps me moving forward. On a personal level, again, I think Cole, Brooke, my family, my mom, my sister, like, there's some accountability there to do the
yeah,
best that I can and make them proud. And I would say that, and then at the end of the day, just making sure that I'm doing my part to try to make Tampa Bay a good place to live.
yeah, yeah. Great. My wife wanted me to tell you. Oh, she said, "Did you tell Mike if I had a son, his name was going to be Cole?" I said,
That's
"I'll tell him
awesome.
now."
That's awesome.
It's that it was going to either be Lincoln Cole or Cole Lincoln, you know, but she doesn't have a son, and you do.
The name Cole really grew on me. And as we were in a group chat with a couple other people that we were joking around about names, and it was all about Valspar. And
I thought I was on the list, but
you came off the list really early. Yeah, Cole was kind of a joke in terms of, the singer Cole Swindell was performing at Valspar. So everybody's like, oh, you should name your kid Cole. My joke to everybody now is I'm like, I got 4 friends that all think they helped name Cole.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so leave us with the gem. Leave us with something to think about, something to motivate us for next week.
Something to think about, something to motivate us. Let's see. I think with all the uncertainty right now in the world, there's a lot of, you and I've talked about this, there's just a lot of craziness going on. We just experienced this political motivated shooting, and I think one of the things that we have to do as a society and as individuals is kind of slow down the rhetoric a little bit. And at the end of the day, what I've noticed is when I sit down with somebody one on one, if I don't agree with them politically, religiously, whatever that is, we could still have a good conversation and we
Yeah,
can still coexist in this world. And I can't stand to see all the divisiveness online. I can't stand to see how things get twisted so significantly when it comes to, what people say, what people do. And I just think we all need to do better.
yeah.
And I think we all can do better. And some of that requires us to just kind of, put the phone down,
Hmm.
maybe get off of social media for a minute and just kind of cool our jets a little bit.
Yeah. Exist. Appreciate one another.
Yeah.
Talk,
Yeah.
communicate. You talked about that in the workplace. Same thing,
Yeah.
in life. So again, thanks for your time. I appreciate it. I know
And
you're a little bit under the weather.
yeah,
I
I
hope you
got I got
feel
my
better.
green tea with honey right here.
Yeah, there you go. And
Awesome.
thanks for your time today. I appreciate it, Mike.
Thanks, Ian. Appreciate you,
You're
man.
welcome. Have a great weekend.
You too.